Welcome to Omnibros Live, and I am doing this one by myself. Gio, at the moment, as he is in Puerto Rico, is without internet, so he's unable to join me. I did leave an open call for people to join if they wanted, but we'll see if anyone joins me as I go through the show. Anyway, so as is typical with Thursday shows, talking about manga, I am the host, the solo host today, the Omnibus Collector. And you can find me on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter as the Omnibus Collector, where I talk about all kinds of cool things regarding manga, comics, whatever. And we'll be going over. I've got some stuff that I hauled, some things that I've read, and of course also, as is typical every week, now that they're doing it again, Seven Seas dropped a couple of new solicitations. I do wish that I could have had our recent guest co-host Colleen on this show, because one of the Seven Seas books is one that they were pretty excited about. So before getting started, of course, I'm not used to running these things, but okay, here we go. So put up the, of course, we have to thank our sponsors at instocktrades.com, where you can get your omnibus editions, comics, manga, and more at up to 50% off, plus other super sales and stuff. Like right now, they have the summer sale where there are books that I think are like 65% off for some omnis and stuff. So of course, thank you to them for sponsoring our show and making this possible. They've got all kinds of great manga on sale over there. New releases, of course, this week. New manga releases that popped up on there a couple days ago, and I'll get back to do the second in stock trades thing later in the show. Anyway. Hello. Thank you for joining. All right, we got a few people in there now, so I know that people are watching that. I've done my little spiel. So again, I am alone tonight. Gio, unfortunately, since he is in Puerto Rico, he's without internet, but he's good. He's fine. But the island just doesn't have internet, at least where he is, as far as I understand it. But he's always in our hearts and in our minds. And Chewy is right on top of me as always. And Chewy might bark throughout the show because there's a loud guest downstairs that he can hear, and he just is not a very personable dog, so he's going to get upset. Anyway, starting off the show, I guess now that I've done the intro and stuff, last week I got to excitingly talk about some of my reads and like some stuff that I did and did not like. Yes, it is scary. Like the hurricane apparently was pretty heavy for him out there. So it's good to know that he is okay. What happened to Gio, again, real quick? He is in Puerto Rico. He lives in Puerto Rico, and so the recent hurricane hit them, and he is fine. They're just without internet right now. Without internet, so he couldn't join the show. He wishes he could talk to him just right before the show to make sure that he was not joining and stuff like that. And he said, "Yep, can't get in, but basically just kill it, do the show, have fun." So anyway, I've got hauls and reads for myself. A couple things that just came in today. So first off, I haven't talked about it much, but I am. Oh, yep, Gabe. We got the podcast. So we are on. Gabe has done well to spread the love on all platforms. So we are on like every platform, and we are on Spotify. And I think we're just a few people away from being able to do like monetization on Spotify, which I don't know how much that is, but everything's good. We can always use that for the channel. So yeah, plug for the Spotify, plug for basically any platform that you can think of. Our show is streamed over there. So I got a couple of hauls that came in today. Just now, I just opened the boxes. So I haven't talked about it much, but I have been over the past several months, and I'll talk about this more on my channel when I do my new collection tour. I've been working on collecting all of Viz Media's signature line, which is not an easy feat, not because it's a huge line, but because there are so many rare titles that are just not easy to get. And I'm down to the last like 30 some odd books in that line. And so I received 5 of them. 5 of them. That's the number 5, not that. Today, March Story volumes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this is one of, I think, the 2 manhwa that are part. I think it's a manhwa by Hyung Min Kim and Kyung Il Yang. It's either manhwa or it's a Chinese book. I'm not 100%. Someone in the comments will probably know if I don't. But it's one of the few that are not manga that are in Viz Media's signature line. So that made that pretty notable. And I did also, on that note, a few others that I got in that line. Recently, my friend Shiva out in Canada found 3 volumes of Saturn Apartments for me. And I was able to pick up volume 1, but it was an ex-library copy. So now I've just got a few left. And this one has staples on the spine. So that's fun. I was also able to get the last volume I needed for Dogs, Bullets, and Carnage, volume 10. And it was a copy of volume 0 and 10 together. But I already have 0. But it was the only way that I could get it for cover price. And then I went on a tangent for like 30 minutes last week about Hamtaro, and I did get a volume of Hamtaro. So this, I already had it on order. It hadn't come in yet. Viz Media published this back in the early 2000s. You can see like the old Viz logo on the spine. And it is a rather nice looking book. It's a hardcover with a nice dust jacket, and underneath the dust jacket is some beautiful artwork. This is volume 2. It's only a 3-volume series. But volumes 1 and 3 are particularly hard to find for good prices. So I don't imagine that I'll find the other 2 anytime soon. But here's our queen, Ritsuko Kawai, the creator. And let's see, what else did I have here? So then that's the main hauls, or that's the hauls for the signature line. And then to repay the favor of my friend Shiva getting me those books from Canada, I also found something that she was rather excited about. And I ordered that for her so I could pass it her way. And that was After School Nightmare. So I don't know much about this series whatsoever. It does sound pretty cool from the way that she and Colleen were talking about it. And Colleen has a video on their TikTok about the series as well. But it's a 10-volume series. And when I showed that someone in a Facebook group had it for sale, Shiva immediately was like, "Oh, that's awesome. Like, you should get it." And I was like, "Well, I don't know anything about it, so I'm not really inclined to buy it." She's like, "If no one else wants it, then I'll take it." I was like, "Did you want me to order it for you so that I can send it your way? Because I don't know if they'll ship to Canada." She's like, yeah. So always happy to help out. Because this series, I looked it up immediately on like eBay. And the 10 volumes, I think the cheapest I saw them for was like $175. And they were selling the set for $100. And each of the 10 volumes is $11. So slightly under cover price, which that's always the goal, right? Undercover price. And the same seller, also for undercover price, had a series that I was interested in, and that is Othello. And this is just a 7-volume series that they, again, were selling for undercover price. These are $11 a piece, and I think it's like $65. So pretty good. And then I got a bunch of movies and stuff too. I actually went to a Second and Charles, the only one near me. It's like an hour away, but I took a venture out there and bought a bunch of crap, including like a bunch of Garfield comics. But the probably most interesting piece of anything that I hauled this week is something very different. And if you follow me on any of my other socials, you might have seen it. You might know what I'm talking about. And I hope that my voice carries as I walk around this bedroom. And that is this Chainsaw Man throw blanket that I got from the Shonen Jump store. I ordered it a couple weeks ago or something when they first opened the Chainsaw Man store on the Shonen Jump store. And I looked and I was like, okay, all the other stuff, whatever. I'm fine without like t-shirts and stuff. But this is cool. This like it's a freaking big ass Chainsaw Man throw blanket. And yes, it was expensive. It was $100. But you know what? I'm a big boy. I had $100 to put down on a throw blanket, and I also have a Chainsaw Man throw pillow, so it just it goes with it. So I'm excited to have that and put it out in my library, and I'm surprised that it actually sold out, because it is a blanket for $100, and I was like, there's no way, like that's probably gonna last, right? So I'm sorry to y'all, like that y'all wanted it and missed out. I went on immediately to grab it. Hello, thank you. So that's all the haul stuff. I do have other stuff that I hauled, but I'm just too lazy to grab it, and it's a lot for me to talk about. I'd rather just save it for another video. Yeah, this thing's, and it's warm too. Like I have sat under it and laid under it and have sweat, because it is a very thick, very warm, very effective blanket, which is good. If I'm spending that much, then I definitely want it to be effective. So that is the stuff that I hauled. And hold on, I gotta let people, like I said, there's I have company, and so Chewy gets barky and stuff, and they're downstairs, and so I have to tell them, like, I'm doing my thing. I'm not y'all. Sorry. So I do have a couple reads as well. I read what did I read? So I read these two. I think there was like two more that I read this week, but whatever. We're gonna start here. And last week I had a great time talking about why Chained Soldier was so terrible. And I didn't have a terrible read this week. Oh, I do know what the third one was. It was the one that I already talked about. It was the See You Tomorrow at the food court, which I finished off this week, and that was a great palate cleanser after how terrible Chained Soldier was. I got to read that, and it was a very nice, cute, just story about a couple of friends that I highly recommend. And then I basically was trying to read through my Yen Press pile this week, and so I read a couple more volume ones. First up, I read Chitose is in the Ramune bottle, which is not at all what I thought it was. I don't know why I had the impression that this was a GL series, and maybe later on it does have a GL romance or something, but at least from the first volume, that is not what this is. The most important thing that I would say happens in this is that there's a really popular dude, and he has all these girls who are his friends, and the faculty has them go to try and talk to a guy who's locked himself up and refuses to come out and stuff. He's a shut-in, and they want him to come back to school. And so the main character and his friends go to try and pull him out of seclusion. It was a decent first volume. I definitely, it was different than what I was expecting. But if you like school comedy type things, even though it's one guy and like a whole group of girls, I wouldn't call it a harem series, which is good because I'm tired of that. But when it starts off immediately with like a color page where there's a text that says Saku Chitose from class 5 is a total man slut shithead, I was like, all right, you got my attention. So pretty good artwork on that one. Pretty interesting first volume. I'm going to at least give it another volume or two to try out. The other one that I read from Yen Press, I enjoyed quite a bit, was No Longer Heroine. And we talked about this one a little bit last week. Colleen was familiar with it. And I was hesitant on picking this one up because when I was talking with Colleen about it and I asked what it is, like what it's about and all that stuff, they basically were like, I don't know, like it's kind of iffy. Like some people really don't like it. I liked it, but it was when I was growing up and I read it. And so I was a little iffy on picking up No Longer Heroine, but I'm really glad I did, because it was a lot of fun. It was a fun high school like rom-com type series, heavy on the com, lesser on the rom, where our main character here, basically she believes that she is the heroine, she is the main character of the story, to the childhood friend. And as you see in a lot of these high school romance type stories, the childhood friends eventually, date, and they start to, in most series they start to date. And hey, don't bark, stop. And so she expects that's how this is going to go. She's just a shoo-in. She's the childhood friend. They're going to start dating. But then he starts dating someone else, and she's upset about it. And so she just kind of has to come to terms with the fact that maybe she's not the main character. Maybe she's not the heroine. It's really tongue-in-cheek, very comedic. It has a lot of great visual gags with like the artwork showing like just her emotions on all of this, everything that's happening to her. Stop. Okay. Hey, let's quit it. Let's not do that. So those are my main reads, and then I started reading the newest volume of one of my favorites, Delicious in Dungeon, which is getting an anime pretty soon. If you haven't read this one yet, it's another fantastic one from. Hey man, I can't have you doing that. I can't have you doing. I'm busy. Let's not do that, okay? I'll ground you later. Yeah, stop. Okay, Delicious in Dungeon. Fantastic series, great seinen, just fantasy type series. If you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend it. It is, like I said, getting an anime. Hey, let's not do that. An anime pretty soon. I know it was announced, but I don't know when it's coming out because I don't pay much attention to anime. He has the code not on. He doesn't use it anymore, but I've got it. The e-cone is here just in case he needs it. He's just being a little brat right now because he doesn't like people and he hears people that are not the immediate circle that he's usually around. Okay, so those are hauls and reads. We've got, of course, let me get from Geo the 7 Seas licenses. We have 3. They've started up doing those. They've started up doing the Wonderful Wednesdays again. Hey, man. And so with that, we got 3 new licenses to check out. Let me try and get onto, let's see, sharing my screen with this tab. Okay, so there we go. All right, so y'all can see that. So the first one is Please Go Home, Miss Akutsu, and this is from the Ghost Ship imprint, which means that it is going to be more of an ecchi series. 7 Seas happy to announce through its Ghost Ship imprint for older readers, they have to clarify that, and Hamtaro is still in the corner just mocking me. The license acquisition of the manga series Please Go Home, Miss Akutsu by Taichi Nagaoka, a raunchy rom-com about a quiet guy and his voluptuous house guest who just won't stop making herself at home. Timid Oyama keeps to himself at school, and he certainly never gets involved with Akutsu Riko, a delinquent as buxom as she is notorious. But when she turns up at his apartment out of the blue, what's he supposed to do? Kick her out? She's gorgeous and scary, and things get complicated when... Hey. Stop. Sorry, hold on. Okay, let me continue. I'm gonna just try and keep him from buffing so much. She's gorgeous and scary, but things get complicated when Akutsu asks to stay the night. then starts turning up over and over again after school reading Oyama's manga, sprawling out on his bed and digging up his smut stash. Why exactly is she claiming his life as her hangout? She makes it clear that there's no way she could possibly like him, but the teasing threatens to boil over into something more in this sexy yet adorable slice of life rom-com. Please Go Home, Miss Akutsu Volume 1 will be released for the first time in North America in April 2023 for $13.99, with the series available in print and digital platforms in single volume editions as part of the Ghost Ship imprint. So that was the first one. I'm not really like crazy about the ecchi type of rom-com stuff. Like if I want rom-com, I'm either going to want it to be a little more wholesome or whatever, but I know like some of them can be, so I'll probably wait and see like what friends of mine, people whose opinions that I tend to vibe with, think about this one, and then if I dig it, then I'll go ahead and try it out. I mean, I usually get most first volumes when they come out anyway at this point, so chances are I'll probably read it, and then if I don't like it, I'll just slam it on here. Anyway, so the next license, let me pull this one up, is for their new BL imprint, which I believe they're just calling the new BL imprint Boys Love. So they didn't go for a fancy like ship name or anything like they did with Airship, Steamship, and Ghost Ship. I Didn't Mean to Fall in Love, Boys Love manga. Seven Seas Entertainment is excited to announce the license acquisition of the self-contained manga I Didn't Mean to Fall in Love by Minta Suzumaru. In this mature-rated boys' love romance, a 30-year-old virgin finds himself falling for a charming flirt who doesn't want anything more than a more serious than a casual fling, or does he? Yoshino knows at the age of 30 that he wants to be with men, but he doesn't know how to find one. When he overhears some women at work talking about a gay bar, he realizes that for some people, it's just that easy. He thinks the flashy college student Ro is one of those people when Ro readily offers to have sex with him, but Yoshino finds himself falling for the charming young man despite his best efforts. After all, it's not possible to find Mr. Right by sleeping with the first man who offers, is it? I Didn't Mean to Fall in Love will be released for the first time in print in North America in March 2023 for $14.99, available in single large trim edition as part of the new Seven Seas BL label for Boys Love titles. Ebook will also be available. So that's the second one. Originally licensed digitally by Futakiya. Okay. So I don't get a ton of Boys Love, and usually the ones that I do are like the more rom-com-y ones, the ones that are a little more funny or wholesome stuff. So I probably won't get that one. That one's not really up my alley, but I know that a lot of people will enjoy having that one available to them, especially those who enjoy some spicy stuff. Okay, let's go to the third one, which I mentioned earlier. I really wish that I had Colleen here because they were super excited about this last one, and a lot of people who were familiar with it. Sorry, I'm still learning the controls on how to do the screen sharing. I'm not the best at this. This is why we have Gio, because he's great at all this stuff. Okay, so a lot of people were excited about this one. My Girlfriend's Child. Seven Seas Entertainment is pleased to announce the license acquisition of the manga series My Girlfriend's Child by Mamoru Aoi, a poignant and romantic shoujo drama about a teenage couple whose lives are changed forever after a positive pregnancy test. Sachi and her boyfriend Takara are a young couple in high school. They go to sex together. I'm reading the next line. They go to school together, hang out, and even engage in the more intimate side of dating. However, after a recent evening of sex, it was right under the word school. They're trying to get me there. Sachi gets the feeling that something isn't right and buys a pregnancy test. Later in the bathroom of a family restaurant far from her home, she sees the two red lines that will change her life forever. A tender and honest look at the realities of teen pregnancy, My Girlfriend's Child is sure to spark conversation. My Girlfriend's Child Volume 1 will be released for the first time in North America in April 2023 for $13.99, available in print and on digital platforms. So that one is going to be a big one, I think. And that one also, I would say, is rather important. Yes, and there was a lot of research that went into it. There's an interview on, I don't know where the interview was, but it is in Japanese, of course, but Colleen shared it, and then it's shared on Twitter on the Shoujo World account on a thread about this series, where they talked about all the importance of this story and stuff like that. So I think this is going to be a really uh, really just kind of, as it says in there, it's poignant. It's going to be an important one to look at, because we don't have a lot of manga that I haven't really seen one that's in the US that covers the topic of teen pregnancy. And it's, I feel like some people on Twitter, and I know Twitter is hard to like use as a gauge for interest and a gauge for like the actual impression that things are giving to people, but a lot of people on there seem to think that this was like not trying to take the topic seriously somehow, even though the wording here is very clear that it is. But my immediate reaction was like, good, we need dramatic titles that take these topics seriously and have them available for people to read. Like, you have so much media that shows the various aspects of different things that happen, real life topics and traumatic things and dramatic things and very life changing things. And I think it's important that we have that in every medium. So whether that be manga or comics or of course movies, etc. So I am very much going to be trying this one out. I'm going to be picking it up. I do like dramatic stuff quite a bit. It's nice to have that sobering look at life after reading a bunch of things about guys punching each other and screaming and finding out who can get stronger than the next. It's nice to have something sobering and bring you back into reality. And stuff like this, I also tend to take with a tone of like, if I had to recommend something to a younger audience regarding that specific topic. So like, for instance, when I read for the first time Silent Voice, I read that and I thought like, this is something I would show to kids that like that are bullying other kids. I'd be like, this is a series I'd probably push on you to read and understand whatever. Anyway, so those are the 3 licenses that 7 Seas had for this week. And there was pretty good ones. The last week had a good one as well. It seems like there's always at least one that's just the big hitter. I mentioned this last week on the show, but we are just I want to say like 3 weeks out, less than 4 weeks out from the big round of announcements from Viz. So we're going to get a lot of exciting stuff there. Maybe not a lot of shoujo. So unfortunately for the shoujo fans, even though Viz has the entire imprint that has shoujo in the name, they don't like to focus on the shoujo so much. I laugh because it's sad, but we're going to get some cool stuff over there as well. So I think that's the main topics of the show. I tried to talk as much as I could about that before I ran out of actual stuff to talk about. But anyway, so now I open the floor to y'all. Questions, comments, concerns. What's going on? What do y'all think about those books, and what do you think about what do you expect to see in a few weeks from Viz's fall round of announcements? Let me know in the comments here. I have a list that I was putting together of like my guesses for what they're gonna put out, just because I'd like to be correct about stuff and it'd be funny if I was. So I put it down on paper. I've talked almost every single week when we do these things. I mention it almost every time, but I've been very harsh on 7 Seas in the past, and I think that they have really turned themselves around. And a big part of that is probably because they have gained a lot of income for they've gotten a lot of income for all of the just vast amount of isekai titles and ghost ship type ecchi titles over the years, and now are putting that income towards bigger licenses, and that is super exciting. The Viz announcements are every 4 months in the middle of the month, so it should be around October 15th. So we're about 3 weeks out. So that's going to be those. And I need to do a bingo card for that. So I have my guesses right now. I'm like almost absolutely 100%. I would be very surprised. I said this last week. I'd be super surprised if they don't announce Stone Ocean, because with the way that the releases line up, it should be Stone Ocean should be coming out next summer. And yes, so it'd be summer fall 2023 releases, which is what I'm saying about Stone Ocean should be out in the summer. I had forgotten about me and Roboco getting an anime, and I think it was mentioned last week, but I do think it was mentioned because we went on a tangent about it and the covers and stuff. But I think that there's a pretty decent chance that one gets it as well. And of course, always Junji Ito story collection. I think if there's another series from the Shonen Jump magazine that maybe Akane Bayashi would get physical releases, I don't know though. Like I'm trying to think about what other series has not gotten the physical. Yeah, Seven Seas, even if it's just like me trying stuff out, like I have a lot of like newer Seven Seas series where I haven't read the first volume yet that I got, but they're taking a lot of space up. It'll get a physical release. The hope is that I'm right, that it's going to be announced in a few months. See, I don't know what Jump Plus titles they might do. I think I have the Manga Plus app, so I can check and see like what's on there, what's big on there. And it's also a matter of like thinking back. Like I mentioned, me and Roboco, and that already has its like digital release. Like they did digital volumes. But we've seen some series go from getting the digital volumes to getting physical. So, what's it called? Ayakashi, or not Ayakashi, Mission Yozakura. Ayakashi's going to Seven Seas. Mission Yozakura Family was digital, and then it's getting physical. I think Witch Watch is around the time. P6. P6 would be a really good one to do. But it and like Witch Watch are the two that are around the point where there's enough chapters to make sense for it. I hope that it annoys people, because those people are usually the ones that haven't actually read the series, and they're just annoyed that like there's a series that runs longer than than an action that's like a comedy series, that it's a dumb gag manga. But the thing is, I have a series that I get annoyed with that is still running, but it's not Roboco. I get annoyed with High School Family, because that's the one where I'm like, come on. It's been so like just middle tier to me, like not doing anything for or against me since it started, and it's got over 100 chapters. Roboco can keep going. I love Roboco. She's such a great character. So I hope those people get annoyed. I hope it gets physical, and I hope those people get annoyed. And yeah. But yeah, Witch Watch would be great to see. I think the gag manga, it's hard to say that they're underrated in the West. It's just that they're hard to for the general audience to get in the West, because a lot of the gag manga in Japan, I mean, the gag manga in Japan, they're gags based on other properties, right? Like that exist in Japan. So like Roboco is constantly having gags based on series that general audiences in the West are not going to be familiar with. And that's a big reason why back at, like 2010, before 2010, when Viz was publishing Gintama, that's a big reason it failed, was because the audiences really didn't understand the jokes that were coming out at the time. Yeah, exactly. So I think that's like a big hesitation that Viz has. The publisher like is like, these types of things, and Shueisha too, because it really comes down to Shueisha's decision at the end of the day. But they're like, we've tried gag stuff before. It doesn't really succeed. That's that's why we don't have a lot of the classic titles available in English that are gag manga. So yeah, I that's kind of why. And I don't know if they put it out, I think that it would probably be successful just because it would be coming out around the same time as an anime release, and that's the perfect like way to pump up attention for that kind of thing. This I wonder if they would, because that's the one by Akira Amano, yeah. And I'd like to see that as well, but I more so would like to see Reborn get finished again. Yeah, Daddy Shueisha. Daddy Shueisha does say no on a lot of stuff. But a lot of it does come down like Viz and Dark Horse are really hesitant about having too many releases at a time. Specifically Viz and Dark Horse. This was something that was talked about at their like publisher round circle panel at San Diego Comic-Con, where both of them mentioned how like they were around during the bust in 2010, where the market crashed, and they both had to cancel a lot of titles because of the fact that they had put too much out and they weren't getting return on a lot of it. So it's an unfortunate factor into what makes them make the decisions now, because now they are both, they being Dark Horse and Viz, they are more hesitant to put out multiple licenses at a time, so they kind of keep it to a minimum, to what they consider a minimum. And I haven't done it yet, but I'm gonna count up how many titles each of them has. I think Dark Horse has close to like a dozen currently ongoing titles. And then Viz, I'd say, probably has around 50, all things considered. So it's like once one of those titles ends, they'll put another one out to replace it, but they don't try and expand their line too much. Just trying to like not oversaturate the market. And that like, that's something that like, I think that they would believe that Seven Seas is doing, because Seven Seas just like puts so much out, so that the worry would be like if there's an oversaturation in the market, it would be a publisher like them that just has tons of titles out there. So hopefully that it doesn't crash anytime soon, and that's what makes it scary for them, because the bigger it is, the harder it's going to crash if it happens. But hopefully it doesn't. It just kind of evens out a little bit and doesn't crash, and everything can go good, and that way we don't have to have a bunch of discontinued titles, because a lot of people would be very disappointed, and also a lot of people are not like plugged in and paying attention to what actually happens in the like the business side of things. So they're just like, why did you do that to our title? Why did you do that to my favorite series? So hopefully it doesn't happen. I wish for the best. I will say, like, the way it looks like the fervor has started to even out, which is a good thing, because it's leading to less speculative markets for this stuff. There's not as many people jumping into it fresh as there were before. And that's not to, I'm not trying to say like, I don't want new people jumping in. No, that's not it at all. But like, there's not this giant amount. The same thing happened with like Pokemon cards. When it took off and everyone was buying so many Pokemon cards and trying to sell them and flip them and stuff like that, because there's this huge speculative market. And then now it's gone back to where like it's not hard to find that stuff anymore. They've caught up with production has caught up with demand, but demand has also decreased a little bit. So I think the same thing is kind of happening and evening out with manga and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't really use Facebook Marketplace or Mercari too much, but I have a little bit recently, and I would say that there are a lot of like interesting things popping up on there, newer things, but also a lot of like older sets, like the ones that I had shown, those two, that I had bought Othello and stuff that like on eBay are more expensive were cheaper. Like people are not trying to push massive price hikes on anything, or not on as much stuff. There's people who still do. Like there's, you know, getting into more shoujo right now is a pain in the butt because so many of the popular titles like Red River selling for, you know, what, $1,200, $1,300. It's just ridiculous. And they say like, oh, there's not a demand enough to reprint it, but it's like there's enough demand that they could do a print run like they did with Banana Fish, I would say, and get a pretty good attention on it. The other bit of news that came out, which I think is pretty interesting, we can talk about for a second, because I got about 20 more minutes to kill here. Is of course the stuff with Crunchy and Mob Psycho 100, and that was a big thing that happened. And I haven't watched the Mob Psycho 100 anime, but the Crunchy, as far as the dubbing goes, they didn't want to not recognize a union. That's not the terminology we're using here, but like the voice actor for Mob wanted the conversation to be on the table. He didn't even say like, you know, if you don't unionize that I'm done. He just said, you know, we wanted the conversation to be on the table, and they wouldn't even do that. And so now he's out. So they're going to be changing the voice actor for Mob, and this is something that, like, you know, that's just one character in one show, but it's emblematic of like of a whole, you know, corporate entity and Sony and Crunchy and all that stuff. So that's a big thing that happened, and it's always disappointing. But yeah, the JJK movie, they paid voice actors $300 or less on that, even though the movie made what, like 3 million that it made, like a ridiculous amount of money, and they just are not paying a lot of people. And it's not cool. And I know a lot of people are very like, union is a bad word for a lot of people, but like I'm not going to go into all that stuff. I'll just say like there's a reason why they exist. There is a reason why there's a lot of negativity that gets thrown into the way that they want people to view unions. There's a reason why companies will, like, you think about that for a second, like it's usually the company that's telling you to not like it. So why would they not want you to like it? Anyway, I'm not here to lecture about unions and stuff like that. But yeah, selling souls for Red River. If you are looking for some Red River and you don't want to sell your soul or spend $1,200-$1,300, there's word on the street is tongue-in-cheek, wink wink, that there's some less than legal versions of the book out there that come from other countries that are in English. And you know what, like, if they don't want to release the real thing for us to have, then sometimes you buy the less than legal thing, if you get what I'm saying. Yeah. I've seen some folks over, you know, Malaysia and stuff like that, wink, that have some good prints. And Red River, and maybe some things like Baki, and I've seen some rumblings of an entire English printing for Initial D, and it looks like they started work on stuff like Beck, Mongolian Chop Squad. A lot of different series like that are either A, like really hard to get, or B, just unavailable physically in English. So not that I'm saying this with experience or anything, but the physical copies themselves are decent at best. I would say they're not on the same level as the like stuff that you would get from an English publisher, but in some cases they're books that are not available otherwise, like literally not available. It's not even an option of like, oh, I could spend a lot of money and get the official release. Like on stuff like Red River you can, but like for other things like Baki, physically no. So there you go. So what else? I feel like there's something to talk about that I forgot. But oh yeah, got another one of those retailer exclusive box sets. Let me see if I can't find the stuff. So these are always fun to see. I'll put this up. All right. So yeah, we got the Comey Can't Communicate 1 through 4 Target exclusive box set. And the thing that I find the most interesting about this, like, and these are not Viz box sets. Like, yeah, they're Viz books and stuff, but it's not like they don't put these out like they do like the upcoming My Hero box set. So this is not something that completely denies the possibility of I don't think that a Comey box set, a full one, would ever happen, but they did the 4 volume sets for was it Chainsaw Man at Books a Million and JJK at Barnes and Noble, or the other way around. Those 2 4 volume sets does not tell us that there's never going to be a box set for either of those series, full box set. And it really doesn't say it for Comey, but I wouldn't count on it because we haven't had any Shonen Sunday box sets. But Target is getting their own, and Target is interesting in they've become involved in the manga as a manga retailer more recently, where you can find a lot of stuff on site at Target. You find a lot of popular stuff. This, of course, has volumes 1 through 4 with a double-sided poster, and the set goes for $31.96 when purchased online. So I'm guessing it's a little bit more expensive. But Target's making it's a big deal. It's a big deal that that Target has been pushing more manga in their stores, because this is a big part of what's bringing the medium to a larger audience. People who don't have, for instance, a Barnes and Noble or Books a Million, most places do have a Target, most places do have a Walmart, most places do have stuff like that. And that's a big reason why you'll see the sales numbers whenever Geo pulls up those numbers every month. Why manga dominates so much is because of the fact that manga is available in more stores than it has been in the past. You have more retailers that are going all in, because a lot of these retailers are seeing that there's money to be made with this stuff. So you have retailers like Target who are really pushing like non-bookstores, like Target or Walmart. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Walmart set of a 4 volume series, like a 4 volume set like this sometime soon. I joked on Twitter that we'd probably see what's it called? A Five Below box set from Kodansha. Like, Kodansha is gonna start playing and get the Five Below set. So that's important. That makes a lot of money for the industry. Basically, the more availability is, the more people are getting their hands on it, the more interest there is, and the more growth there's going to be. And that's important to make sure that like these things are available. And it's a lot of why there's been so much issue with Western comics, is because in the past several years, I think it was like 2011 or something, Diamond stopped distributing to the book market, period. So like bookstores like Barnes and Noble and Books a Million no longer had single issues. And so that makes it really hard to have someone get into comics when like the current storylines are no longer available unless you go to a specialty shop, an actual comic shop, whereas manga is available everywhere. Now, comics used to be available everywhere, and that's why sales for comics used to be so astronomical, because you could get them at the grocery store, you could get them on the newsstand. Like I got my first comics at grocery stores, Spawn #1 and stuff, Spider-Man during like Maximum Carnage era, that storyline. Those were issues that I got off of spinner racks at grocery stores, and a lot of people did, but no longer. And that was a Diamond decision. unfortunately. And so then they pulled out of bookstores, and it was only delivering to comic shops. And unfortunately, it's still that way. And I think that like if they really wanted to, and it's not that it's going to be a multi-tier thing to try and like for Western comics to try and keep up. They need to start offering to bookstores and retailers and stuff like that. And like Walmart tried with it's like the giant size Batman, the giant size Superman issues. They were available at Walmart for like $8, and it's like 100 pages of material, which is, $8 for 100 pages sounds like crap, because like for manga you're getting like 200 pages for $10 or $12 or something like that. But it is full color, larger trim size, whatever. It is what it is. The prices are different. But if they ever want to keep up, they've got to increase the availability. They have to increase what people can have and where they can have it. How the ease of accessibility is a really huge thing that they don't really think on. And now it's not even Diamond anymore. It's Lunar, and it's Penguin Random House, and stuff like that. And so they're all kind of, they gotta make some decisions if they want to make changes, but I don't think that they really want to, because for instance, on DC's side, Warner Brothers doesn't really view DC's comics as a source of major income. They just care about the movies. Of course, there's a lot of drama with that anyway, with the movies and TV shows. It's not just supply and demand, it's visibility, because the demand would go up if there was more visibility, but manga advertises. Manga allows visibility. Manga allows, like, the publishers for manga are putting stuff out there. The amount of money that goes into marketing, like at San Diego Comic-Con, the amount of money that like Viz Media spent on marketing there to have one of the biggest booths at Comic-Con, like bigger than most Western publishers. It's marketing, and that visibility, that's going to turn heads. So you have a lot of people who were looking only at Western comics who are now turning their heads and thinking about manga, and they're like, okay, well, this has gotten my attention finally. It just takes the right visibility. It takes the right series, and then someone is going to go and be like, I'm going to try that out. And unfortunately, like, no moves have been made to increase that visibility. And so therefore, without the visibility, that demand doesn't exist. And the thing is, like, comics are selling better now than they have for years. They're constantly going up. It's just, it's like they are okay with where they are is the problem. It's like there's this idea of like, we're at a good place, like we're selling more, we're fine. When they obviously could do a lot to catch up. And every once in a while you see them do something where they think like, I think the Mighty Marvel Masterworks was a thing that was them trying to compete by doing like cheaper editions, pocket-sized books. All the young reader books is another way that they try to compete with having things that are like 200, 300 pages of material for $12. That type of stuff is like them trying to compete. But the main thing is like the optics aren't there. There's no visibility because they're not sending stuff as readily to bookstores and retailers and stuff like that. It is difficult. It is really difficult. And like, there's a lot that they could do, but it's just, at the end of the day, like the powers that be, like the ones who own the comic publishers, just don't see comics as important. So they're not pushing it. They don't see the importance of stuff. So they're like, we will pull whatever we need from it to get our money from merchandising and from movies and from television. But that's it. So anyway, that's, I soapbox for a little while, but that was the solo show for me. Let me do the quick sponsor pitch again. Let y'all know that this show is brought to you by InStockTrades.com, where you can get your collected editions and manga and more for up to 50% off. And they do have sales right now, such as the summer sale where things are like 65% off, etc. A lot of great books. And they have a lot of the manga that we talk about every week on this show are available on instocktrades.com for great prices. $50 or more gets you free shipping within the US. Fabulous packaging, fabulous customer service. Instocktrades.com. Thank you again for sponsoring the show. Next week, I will be back with Geo should have his power, but it looks like we're going to have Colleen is going to be recurring. They said that they want to appear every other week on here, so hopefully that happens. And I can have Colleen on here regularly as a bi-weekly appearing rotating cast member for the manga show. So that'll be a lot of fun. And then, Colleen and hopefully Geo is back with power and stuff. I would hope that by next week, the island gets figured out and they have power back. And so we can have a full cast, a full round table of folks. Thank you so much for checking out the show. I know it's a little bit different since I'm here by myself. A little bit different having just the solo. I haven't done a solo show before, but I did my best. And I hope that you're all proud of me. I hope that my family is proud of me. And I hope most importantly that Geo is proud of me because I know he's done solo shows before and he always rocks it. So again, thank you everyone for coming and stopping by and spending time with me. I will be on my channel, the Omnibus Collector, on YouTube. You can find me on TikTok at the same name. You can find me on Instagram, basically just sharing my TikToks. You can find me on Twitter, being annoying at Omni Collector. And until next time, thank you so much. Thank you both Alessa and Baz Reads Books for the pride that you show for me. And I will see you all on the next one. Peace out. Until next time. Oh, show on Monday will be no, I think they're doing one Sunday. So the guys will do a Sunday to make up for yesterday. So peace out until next time. Have a good one. Adios.